Welcome to our channel, Management Accounting Made Easy. This is part 3 of cost volume profit analysis. Here we are going to see multi-product break-even analysis. We'll see the formulas for the multi-product break-even point calculation. First, we'll see what is a multi-product company. Multi-product company means a company that sells 2 or more products. For a multi-product company, we need to calculate the weighted average contribution per unit or the weighted average contribution to sales ratio for the total company, overall total company. We shouldn't calculate it for the individual products because that won't make sense because the company is selling more than 2 or more products. So the break-even point in units is fixed cost divided by the weighted average contribution per unit. And the break-even point in money value is fixed cost divided by the weighted average contribution to sales ratio. So we are going to see these ones with more examples. We are going to see an example called Comfort Company. So we'll look at the question. Comfort Company is a specialist sofa manufacturers and sells sofa beds, recliner sofas, and corner sofas. So because the company is selling more than 2 products, so this is a multi-product company. So we'll continue with the question. The selling price per sofa and the variable cost per sofa is given below. So the 3 types of beds. Selling price for the sofa beds, £1,600, and the recliner sofa, £850, the corner sofa, £795. Now the variable cost per sofa, the sofa bed's £880, the recliner sofa is £552.5, and the corner sofa is £357.5. The total fixed overhead for next month is expected to be £850,000. Comfort Company is expecting to sell sofa beds 40,000 units, recliner sofas 15,000 units, and corner sofas 45,000 units. So I have calculated in percentage as well. So if you look at the total number of sofas is 100,000 sofas. So out of 100,000, 40% is sofa beds, 15% is recliner sofas, and 45% is corner sofas. Now the question. Calculate the break-even point in units and in money value for next month. And also the part B, identify the change in break-even point if Comfort Company wishes to sell more of the corner sofas and less of the recliner sofa. So we are going to see this example in our next slide. So we are going to do the part A of our example, the Comfort Company break-even point in units. So we'll see the summary of the question. There are 3 types of products. The selling price is given in the question, which is £1,600, £850 and £795. And also the variable cost per sofa also given, which is £880 for sofa beds, £552.5 for recliner sofas, and £357.5 for corner sofas. And also the fixed overhead is given, and the number of units of each sofa also given. So now we need to calculate the break-even point in units. As we have seen before, the break-even point in units, the formula for a multi-product company is going to be fixed cost divided by the weighted average contribution per unit. So we'll calculate the weighted average contribution per unit. Now, contribution per unit, we all know, which is selling price, take away the variable cost per unit. So the contribution per unit for the sofa bed is £720, and the recliner chair or sofa is £297.5, and the corner sofa is £437.5, which is the individual contribution per unit. So we can calculate the total contribution, so which is for sofa beds £720 times it by the number of sofas, which is 40,000 units. So you will get the total contribution for sofa beds is £28,800,000. And if you look at the recliner sofas, if you do the same way, which is 297.5 times it by 15,000 units, you will get £4,462,500. That's the total contribution for the recliner sofa. And if you do the same for the corner sofa, the contribution per unit is 437.5 times it by the total number of units, which is 45,000 units. So the total contribution for the corner sofa is 19,687,500 pounds. Now, the overall total contribution for the company, if you add all three contribution totals, you will get 52,950,000 units. 52,950,000 pounds. This is our total contribution. So we can calculate the weighted average contribution per unit, which is the total contribution, which is 52,950,000 divided by the total number of units, which is 100,000 units. So we will get the weighted average contribution per unit is £529.50. So we can calculate the break-even point in units, which we know fixed cost divided by the weighted average contribution per unit, which is 850,000 divided by the 529.5. So we will get 1,606 units. So the comfort company has to sell 1,606 units in total in order to break even. In some exam questions, they won't give the number of units sold. Instead, they will give the percentage. So we are going to see the same comfort company using the percentage sold. So if you look at the three types of products, selling price given, variable cost given, total fixed cost also given. Now, instead of the number of units, we are going to see the percentage. So the sofa beds 40%, recliner sofas 15%, corner sofas 45%. So using this percentage, we are going to calculate the break-even point in units. So the contribution per unit, selling price minus the variable cost, so which is £720 per sofa bed, 297.5 for recliner sofa, and 437.50 for the corner sofa. Okay. So 720 contribution per sofa bed. So that is 40% of the total number of units they're selling. So 720 times 40% is £288. Same way, the recliner sofa's contribution per unit is 297.5, but the recliner sofa is 15%, so 297.5 times 15%, that is 44.625. And the corner sofa is 45%. So the corner sofa's contribution per unit is 437.5. Times it by 45%, you will get 196.875. So the weighted average contribution per unit, if you add all these three together, you get 529.5, which is exactly same as in our previous slide when we used the number of units. Okay, so we can calculate the break-even point in units. It's going to be the same, which is 850,000 divided by the weighted average contribution per unit, which is 529.5. So the break-even point in units is 1,606 units. Here we are going to see how to calculate the break-even point in money value for a multi-product company. So we are going to use the same example, our comfort company. So we know they produce 3 different products. Their selling price, individual selling price, we know, number of units given. So we are going to calculate the break-even point in money value. So the formula for break-even point in money value is fixed cost divided by the weighted average contribution to sales ratio. So from the question, they have given the fixed cost, which is £850,000, but we need to calculate the weighted average contribution to sales ratio. So in this example, we are going to take the total contribution divided by the total sales, times it by 100, we will get the weighted average contribution to sales ratio. Okay, from the previous calculation, we know the total contribution from the 3 products is 52,950,000. Now we are going to calculate the total sales. So if you take the individual products, the sofa bed, number of units 40,000, times it by the selling price per unit £1,600, so it is 64 million. If you do the recliner sofa total sales, which is 15,000 units, times it by £850 per sofa, we will get 12,750,000. And the corner sofa, 45,000 units, times it by £795 per unit, then we will get £35,775,000. So if you add all the sales together, we will get £112,525,000. So now we can calculate the weighted average contribution to sales ratio. So total contribution 52,950,000 divided by the total sales, which is 112,525,000, times it by 100, you will get 47.06%. So now we can calculate the break-even point in money value, which is the fixed cost 850,000 divided by our weighted average contribution to sales ratio, which is 0.4706. So our break-even point in money value will be 1,806,205 pounds. We are going to see how to draw a multi-product profit volume chart for this comfort company. So we'll see the steps involved. So step 1, we need to rank the products according to the contribution to sales ratio. So we know there are 3 products, and the contribution per unit we have calculated before, which is selling price per unit, take away the variable cost per unit. So the sofa bed's contribution per unit is £720. Recliner sofas is 297.5, and corner sofas 437.5. And the selling price per sofa also was given, £1,600 for sofa bed, £850 for recliner sofa, and £795 for the corner sofa. So we can calculate the contribution to sales ratio for the individual products. So if you look at the sofa bed, contribution 720 divided by the selling price 1,600, times it by 100, you will get 45%. So if you do the same calculation for the recliner sofa, you will get the contribution to sales ratio 35%, and the corner sofa 55%. Now we are going to rank the products. So corner sofa's contribution to sales ratio is the highest, so that is going to come first. Then sofa bed, finally the recliner sofa. So here we are going to assume the products are going to be sold in the highest contribution to sales ratio order. So to draw a profit volume chart, we need the revenue figures and we need the profit or loss figures. So here the company is going to produce 3 products. So we have to have the cumulative revenue figure and the cumulative profit or loss figure. So for that, we will calculate the cumulative profit or loss and the revenue figures. So we have a column for products, and then we have another column for contribution, another one for cumulative contribution, and another one for cumulative profit or loss, and a final column for the cumulative revenue. Now, if the company produced no units, obviously they won't get any contribution, but they will still incur the fixed cost of 850,000. So that's why the 850,000 is given in brackets, because it's a loss. Now, in our previous slide, we have said the company is going to produce the products in the highest contribution to sales ratio order. So the first product is the corner sofa. So they're going to produce the corner sofa first. So the corner sofa's contribution per unit is 437.5, and the number of units 45,000. So the contribution is going to be 45,000 times 437.5. That will be 19,687,500. Now, the cumulative contribution is also going to be the same, which is 19,687,500. Now, if you look at the cumulative profit or loss, we know from our marginal costing formula, contribution take away fixed cost, we will get the profit. So here the cumulative contribution is 19,687,500. take away our total fixed cost, which is 850,000. So the cumulative profit or loss will be 18,837,500. Now, we'll come to the cumulative revenue. So the corner sofa, £795 per unit, that's the selling price, times it by 45,000 units. So the cumulative sales revenue will be 35,775,000 pounds. Now we are going to do the rest. Now, the second one is sofa bed. So we are going to assume the company is going to sell corner sofa and the sofa bed. So the sofa bed's total contribution is contribution per unit 720 times it by the number of units is 40,000. So that is 28,800,000 pounds. So the cumulative contribution is going to be the corner sofa's total contribution, which is 19,687,500, plus the sofa beds, which is 28,800,000. So if you add those two contributions together, you will get 48,487,500. Now, the cumulative profit or loss is going to be the cumulative total contribution, which is 48,487,500. Take away the fixed cost, which is 850,000. You will get 47,637,500 pounds. Now, we'll take the cumulative revenue. Cumulative revenue is going to be the total of corner sofa plus the sofa bed. So we know the corner sofa is 35,775,000 plus the sofa beds. The sofa bed sales is 64 million. So if you add them together, you will get 99,775,000 pounds. Okay, so now we are going to calculate the recliner sofa. So like before, the total individual contribution for recliner sofa is £297.5, which is the contribution per unit, times it by 15,000, that's the total number of units of recliner sofa. So you will get 4,462,500. So the cumulative contribution, if you add all the contribution together, you will get 52,950,000. Now, as usual, we are going to calculate the cumulative profit or loss, which is 52,950,000. Take away the fixed overhead 850,000. You will get 52,100,000. Now, we'll calculate the cumulative revenue. So the total revenue for corner sofa and sofa bed is 99,775,000. Now we are going to add the total sales of the recliner sofa. That is £850 per unit times it by 15,000. So that is 12,750,000. That is the recliner sofa's total sales. So if you add all three sofas' total sales, you will get 112,525,000. Now, if you look at our chart, we have the cumulative profit or loss for the company, and we have the cumulative revenue for the company. So in our next slide, we are going to do the graph. We are going to do a profit volume chart. So we are going to use the points we have calculated in our previous slide, cumulative profit or loss and the cumulative revenue. So the cumulative profit or loss is going to be on the y-axis, and the cumulative revenue is going to be on the x-axis. So if you look at our step 1, we have ranked the products based on the contribution to sales ratio. So corner sofas came first, sofa beds second, and finally the recliner sofas. So we are going to assume that the products are sold in the order of highest contribution to sales ratio. So now we are going to use our step 2, which is the table we have calculated in our previous slide. So that is our cumulative profit or loss and the cumulative revenue. So the first point on the graph, if you look at the very first point, that is minus 850, because the company at the beginning, if there is no sales revenue, the company will incur a loss of the fixed cost, which is the 850,000 negative. So to get the next point, like our corner sofa point, that's our highest contribution earning product. So we are going to produce first the corner sofa. So to get the next point, we have to include the sales of corner sofa, the cumulative sales of corner sofa, which is 35,775,000 on the x-axis, and the cumulative profit we have calculated on the previous slide, which is 18,837,000.5 million. So that is the yellow color line, which represents the corner sofa. Next, we are going to sell the sofa bed. So if you look at our coordinates, so on the x-axis, the cumulative revenue will be 99,775,000, and on the y-axis, the cumulative profit or loss will be 47,637,500. All these figures we have calculated on the previous slide. And finally, the company is going to sell the recliner sofas. So the coordinates for the recliner sofas will be, on the x-axis is 112,525,000, and on the y-axis it will be 52,100,000. Now, if you look at the purple line, that line joins the fixed overhead, which is minus 850,000, up to the final point. So you can see our break-even point is, which we have calculated before, that is 1.8 million odd pounds. So that is our break-even point. So this is how we do a multi-product break-even chart. Here we are going to see the company wants to make more profit, so they want to sell corner sofas more, because the corner sofas earn the highest contribution to sales ratio. So they are planning to sell more corner sofas and less of the recliner sofas, because the recliner sofas contribution to sales ratio comes last. Okay, so we're going to see what will happen to the break-even point. So we'll see. Identify the change in break-even point if Comfort Company wishes to sell more of the corner sofas and less of the recliner sofas. So here, this is about changing the sales mix. So if the sales mix changes, the weighted average contribution margin will also change. Here the weighted average contribution is going to increase because the comfort company is going to sell more of its high margin product and less of its lower margin product. So at present, comfort company is expecting to sell 40,000 units of sofa beds, 15,000 units of recliner sofas, and corner sofas 45,000. So let us assume comfort company is going to sell 46,500 units of corner sofas. That is 1,500 more units. And 13,500 units of recliner sofas. That is 1,500 less units. So, as I mentioned, this means they have taken 1,500 units off from the recliner sofas and increased the production of corner sofas by 1,500 units. So, if you look at the individual contribution to sales ratio, the original individual contribution to sales ratios we have calculated before, the corner sofa 55%, recliner sofas contribution to sales ratio 35%, and the sofa beds 45%. And also we have calculated the original weighted average contribution to sales ratio, that is 47.06%. This we have calculated in our previous calculations. Now, because the production level is going to change, so we need to calculate the new weighted average contribution to sales ratio. Okay, so now our total contribution is going to change, total sales revenue is going to change, so our weighted average contribution to sales ratio is also going to change. So if you look at the new total contribution, the total will be 53,160,000, which we have added all the total contribution from sofa beds, recliner sofas, and corner sofas. And if you look at the total sales, that also is going to change. So if you add all the new total sales, that is going to be 112,442,500 pounds. So our new weighted average contribution to sales ratio is going to be 53,160,000. That's our new contribution, divided by 112,442,500, that's our new sales, times it by 100, you will get 47.28%. So we can see our new weighted average contribution to sales ratio has gone up because Comfort is going to sell more high margin product, which is the corner sofa. Okay, now the new break-even point is going to be fixed cost 850,000 divided by the contribution per unit, which is 531.6, because our total contribution is 53,160,000 divided by the 100,000. So our weighted average contribution per unit is 531.6 pounds. So our new break-even point in units will be 850,000 divided by the weighted average contribution per unit, which is 531.6, so which is 1,599 units. So the percentage change in break-even units, because our original break-even point was 1,606 units, Now it has gone down to 1,599 units. So the percentage decrease in break-even point in units is 0.44%. Now, we are going to calculate the new break-even point in money value. So fixed cost, 850,000 divided by the new weighted average contribution to sales ratio, which we have already calculated, that is 0.4728. So the new break-even point is going to be 1,797,801 pounds. That also has gone down. So if you look at the percentage change in break-even point in money value is a decrease of 0.47%. So the conclusion is, if a company sells more of its high contribution to sales margin product, the break-even point will go down. They can start making profit more quickly. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in my next video, which is margin of safety.